Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I'm excited to have a special guest with me here today. Nickole Pimlott is the founder of Shine Through the Shadows. She's an advanced stage 4 cancer survivor. Her podcast shares personal stories of her journey through childhood trauma, toxic relationships, and cancer, as well as sharing the stories of others. Nickole is on a mission to help raise vibrations one t-shirt at a time with her online clothing and apparel business, where she donates 20% of her profits to charity. It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Nickole.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your story of maybe if you want to share about surviving cancer and what led you to start your podcast, Shine Through the Shadows. How did that all happen?
Sure. So I've always been on this like spiritual journey, and I've always been into new age kind of things. And I remember when I was in college, my son was like 18 months old, and I seen a psychic. This is where it all kind of like started, right? And she told me about Reiki and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I went from there. As I started a business. So I was in school and I started a business, a metaphysical supply shop. And I did my Reiki, and so that really felt right to me. And I was on this like really cool path, and I was learning and meeting so many neat people. I felt like I was just like leveling up all the time into like this new vibration and this new awareness of who I was and the things that are happening around me. And the same year that I opened my store in 2017, and in 2018, maybe 5 months after I opened, I started having pain in my teeth. And so I was at my son's checkup in February of 2018, and I had mentioned that, my teeth were sore. And he's like, well, maybe you should go see a dentist. And I was like, I can't afford a dentist. And so the pain just got worse and worse. And eventually, after months of trying to figure out what was going on, in and out of the hospital, the pain was so intense. I finally was diagnosed with advanced stage 4 pterygocarcinosarcoma, which is a really rare and aggressive form of cancer. There's less than 100 known cases in the English literature. It took 2 different biopsies and 2 different pathologists to even figure out what it was going on. They kind of like shoved it off as a sinus infection for the longest time. So when I was going through my treatments, I was about 4 weeks in or so, and I had asked my doctor just out of curiosity what my timeline was with this, and he said they had only given me weeks to live even with treatment. So they didn't even expect me to live through the summer. And that was like a bit of a wake-up call. But right around the time that I started having the pain in my mouth, I took my like level 1 and 2 of angelic Reiki, and I feel like that really helped me get through my journey. And it helped me like instead of like asking you like, why is this happening to me, or really letting it take control in a negative way for me, I just asked myself, or asked God actually, like, well, what am I supposed to learn here? Like, what is the lesson? Because I kind of just knew that it was part of my soul growth, something that I needed to experience in this lifetime, to overcome and just experience, I guess. And so I went into the cancer thing with a really good mindset, and with my spirituality, this is like a new thing for me at the time, and helped me get through it. And I beat cancer. I was 7 weeks of intense radiation. I actually recently went to I have to get some teeth pulled. So I went back to the oral surgeon who removed 6 of my teeth and part of my jawbone. And he said that a normal person receives like 62, whatever radiation is measured in. I had received 7,200 in 7 weeks. I had massive burns inside my mouth, on my face, on my neck. The pain was just unreal. And after like healing and just kind of, I had to close my shop because I just couldn't physically keep it open, as I'm trying to I know I have a son, he's 2 at the time, and I was a single mom. And so, that's when I went back to school. And I didn't go back to school after that. I went back to childcare. So that's what I've been doing. And then for a couple years, I wanted to start a podcast, and I was afraid of doing it by myself. So I was trying to convince my friend to do it with me, and she just was, it wasn't her thing. And so I just decided, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to do this. And for me, talking has always been a source of healing for me. And the more I talk about something, the easier I am to like process and let it go. So the podcast really helped me do that. And recently, I just ended my podcast last month, at the end of June. For now, I might go back to it later on, but I feel like it has served its purpose for me for the healing. And I feel like now I want to move on and go on to other people's shows and kind of share my story and be some sort of source of inspiration to help other people who might be going through something just as challenging, and let them know that like you're not alone, and together we can shine through the shadows. And that's why I named the show that. So it's just kind of like shining through our own shadows, whatever it might be for us.
Absolutely. I love that. And I totally agree with you that sometimes through the thick of it, we don't know why we're going through something, but I love that you were asking, even in the midst of this like hugely traumatic and dramatic, I'm sure, experience,
Mm-hmm.
what's the lesson here? I'm curious, looking back, what was the lesson? What do you think that came into your life for?
I really had to like learn about trust, and not just like I had to learn about trust in myself, like knowing that I always know what's right for myself and my health. I really had to fight for my health care in this situation with the multiple visits to the emergency room. Like I had a piece of bone that broke through my face and came out the sinus in the back of my mouth. And they were like, it was just the craziest things I had to go through. And I just had to trust myself. And I knew that something wasn't right. And I just kept pushing, and just the trust in myself, trusting in other people again, and realize that people are really good. The community that I live in really rallied behind me. They don't even know me. I'm not from here. And they really helped support me and my son, and like make sure that we were able to keep our apartment at the time, and our bills were paid. And I was really fortunate there and super grateful. Um, and to trust God, like that He's got my back, and everything that's meant to happen happens in divine timing, and that it's for a reason. And what I like to say is that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And I don't know, I just feel like I've learned so many life lessons, and just, yeah, the trust was a huge one for me though. And also to ask for help. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to do everything on your own. Like, that was a huge lesson for me. Like, take the help, that was yeah, because I'm kind of stubborn.
Yeah. It's funny
Yeah.
how sometimes we have to be forced into a situation, hopefully not a situation that dire, but a
Hmm.
situation where we don't have any choice but to accept help, to realize that
Hmm.
we can and that it isn't the end of the world to do so.
Hmm.
I tend to be independent to a fault sometimes too, and
Hmm.
it's really nice to lean into that support and recognize that, you know what, it's actually a gift to other people to have our back
Yeah.
and to give people an opportunity to show up for another human. That's a contribution in their world as much as it's a contribution for you to receive the support too.
Yeah. It was.
Totally.
It was. I don't know. Sometimes I even like people think I'm weird, but cancer was definitely the hardest and most painful and the most like craziest thing that has ever happened to me. But it was one of the. It was almost like a great experience because of everything that I had learned, and like how much I've grown from it. And I often have people like, "Oh, I don't know how you did it. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it." But I'm like, "Well, what's the other option?"
Yeah,
Like,
you don't have a choice at that point.
you kind of just. I feel like people don't really even realize how strong they are until they're put into a position where they have to be that. Like, I think a lot of people just kind of forget the power that they hold inside themselves and how much they're actually capable of. So that was a really great lesson too, is I learned how much I was actually capable of, and you know how much power I had in my own mind, like how powerful your mind really is. And I know that's part of the reason why I'm still here today, is because of the mind.
Was there anything specific you were doing during that experience to keep your head on straight, to keep your mind in a good place?
Um, no, I don't know. Like I tried to talk to people. The fact that death was a major thing that definitely was very possible of happening. Nobody wanted to talk to me about it. Like nobody would talk to me, like have that conversation. Or if I tried to, they're like, "Oh, it's going to be okay, Nickole, you're going to be fine." And And that got a little frustrating, but I did talk to a counselor, like a grief counselor at the cancer clinic, but I don't know. I didn't really do anything special. I tried to just tell myself, I did positive affirmations a lot. Like, I'm healthy, I'm strong. I told myself a million times. And I just tried to take it one day at a time. I didn't try to go too far ahead of myself. And I just kept my mind busy. I watched a lot of TV. I was in the hospital for like a whole month. So I literally watched so much Bar Rescue and Ink Master. It was crazy. It's like nothing on the hospital TV.
That's funny.
But yeah, I don't know. I talk to people and
Talking to people is a huge thing. I think being able to express yourself and also to be heard and be witnessed. Again, like you said, I think people are uncomfortable with the idea of death and people
yeah,
are uncomfortable with sickness. And so the go-to is to like boost you up and say, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. And luckily that was true.
yeah,
Sometimes it's actually like so much more beneficial for somebody to just be like, I hear you. It sounds
mhm,
scary. It
yeah,
sounds like it's a hard place to be. And like, yeah, what if you die?
mhm,
Then what do we need to do now to make sure that that's okay if it happens?
yeah,
Yeah, super powerful. I'm glad you chose to do counseling during that process too. My mom had breast cancer in when I was in college, and she just put her mind to the test of how much comedy she could ingest. She was
mhm,
reading funny things, she was watching funny things every day. She thought that if she laughed her way through it, that her body would heal itself. And
mhm,
she was also undergoing treatment. She wasn't just doing that, but that really made a big difference in her mind. She also took one of her nightgowns and she wrote loving words all over it. I don't know if you've heard of I think Dr. Emoto, who wrote words on water and then froze it or put it on rice and saw that the words actually impacted the water molecules to
oh,
be.
I've actually heard about that, but I didn't know who
Yeah.
did that. That's
Yeah,
really,
so what she did
yeah,
is she took her nightgown and she knows we're I don't know, I forget the percentage, hugely it made up of water, the human body. And she
mhm.
wrote loving words all over one of her nightgowns and she would sleep in that one, letting the words bless her while she was sleeping at night, which I thought was a cute idea too, to
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's, I
externally
might just do
bless.
that just because.
Yeah, heck, why not? I after that I took my dad always uses like a Brita water filter and I wrote loving words all over his water filter too after I found out about Dr. Emoto. But I love that. And so tell us a little bit more about the clothing company and the charities that you choose to donate to.
Yeah, so I'm still working on my website and I'm hoping to have it launched by Monday on the 12th there. And so I'm just creating different designs on shirts, and some of them are a little sassy, some are like empowering, and just kind of like a multitude of different things on there. And so each sale, 20% of the profits is donated to charity. This right now, I'm going to be donating to the Ronald McDonald House of Canada. And so the Ronald McDonald House has like 33 different programs that helps family with sick children, and they stay, in their houses. There's one here in Red Deer. There's one in Calgary. There's one in Edmonton. I chose this charity because, well, I just kind of shared my cancer story, but cancer is like, I feel like it's surrounding me all the time. I just lost my cousin to cancer in January, sorry. My grandparents, I had another cousin when she was 8 passed from a brain tumor. But I chose this one specifically because my fiance, his brother and wife, they lost their daughter to cancer at the age of 3. And the Ronald McDonald House was a huge support for them and allowed them to be with her while she was battling and going through treatments. So that's the first charity that I'm going to start with. I would like to donate to more as the store grows and it continues to like get bigger, and then I would like to alternate through every couple months, switch to like a different one so I can make as much impact as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I know maybe some people might think I'm crazy for donating profits to charity, but I feel like it's necessary to be of service to other people and to help and to give back. So I have a full-time job. So Shine Through the Shadows is like something that I like to do for fun, and I like to be creative, and it just makes me feel good inside. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm doing with it right now.
It's hugely important to do things that make you feel good inside. I think
Mhm.
that's one way to keep cancer from coming, is to be spending most or part of our time doing things we really care about and that we're passionate about and that
Yeah.
we feel like are making a difference in the planet, on other people too. Thank you for doing that. I think it's beautiful and it's definitely inspiring. I'm leading a group called Peace with Money right now, which is a ongoing program. Well, it's a 4-week program, but I'm going to run it again a few times. That's teaching people how to have a state of peace with their financial realities and how to sort of evolve their relationship to having money. But one of the topics that keeps coming up, even though it's not been covered on the calls yet, people keep wanting to talk about it, is that idea of tithing. And there's tithing to ourselves, and there's also tithing to charities and putting a
Mhm.
portion of our income away or sending it off to companies that we believe are making the world a better place. And I
Mhm.
love that you have such close connections who have had positive experiences with Ronald McDonald House. I know McDonald's isn't exactly a company that we all stand behind, but the Ronald McDonald House Foundation or whatever, my aunt got to be there with her adopted son when he was going through a bunch of stuff when he was first born, thanks to Ronald McDonald House. So
Mhm.
they're doing a lot of good in the world. They're making a difference and helping people. I love that that's one of the first ones you've chosen, and that you're choosing charities that are so close to your heart and close to your like
Mhm.
life and community. That's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I'm still looking at some other ones, yeah, that's the one I want to start with, and it makes the most sense. And there's Well Springs too. This is a great charity that also helps other cancer patients, like adults, when they're going through those different programs. I never actually got to use Well Springs because I just will end up in the hospital for so long, and I just have no energy to get out and do anything. But that's another one too that I've been looking at as well.
For those people who are out there, because I feel like at least most people right now probably know at least one person with cancer.
Hmm.
If you were flashing back like you did a moment ago to when you were in the thick of it, what are some ways to support people who are going through that hard time without negating the depth of it or over like skimming over what's really going on? Do you have any suggestions for how to support our people?
Just be there for them. For me, I felt like my friends treated me a little differently. And some of them I wouldn't even hear from. Like I never heard, there's a few of them that didn't even reach out to me once because they didn't even know how to approach me because of the guilt that they felt for me or whatever. I don't really know what was going on, but the biggest thing I can say is just treat them like normal. Like they're still your friend. Like if this is someone that you go to and talk to about things that are going on, go and talk to them about those things that are going on. It helps them take their mind off of what's going on with them, just to feel like a normal human being and just to be there for them, just hold space. And, that for me, that was like the biggest thing. Like my dad would come and visit me in the hospital every day and he would just sit there and we would just watch TV because I had no energy to talk. I was so sick. I was throwing up all the time and he would just sit there with me. And that was like the best support I could have ever asked for because I didn't want to socialize, but I just needed to have that presence of somebody that was just there.
Yeah.
So when I was really going through it, like just having someone be there for me, that was the biggest thing I think that you could do for somebody is just be there, hold space for them.
Yeah. Don't pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
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 That's beautiful. I also just want to bring it up that you have like a really intuitive side that you used to be a psychic medium, but you also just have this like intuitive knowing. How was that brought to you? I mean, how did you cultivate that experience? Have you always just had that side to you? How did that play into your healing journey?
Yeah, so I've always been intuitive. I didn't always listen to my intuition, that's for sure, and I ended up in some pretty sketchy situations because I didn't listen to myself.
We haven't.
But yeah. I actually remember when I was a kid, I would lay in bed and I would hear this music playing and there's no music. I'd like open the window. There's nothing coming from outside, but I would just hear it. And sometimes I'd hear my name being called as a child. And sometimes I would think about stuff and then would happen, or I'd have dreams and, then all of a sudden I'm living that dream that I had. And actually, I remember one time when I was a kid, I thought about having a child, like who is a person of color, and now I actually am a mother of a child who is a person of color. And so like just it's kind of always been there for me. And as I've gotten older, I've always been into like the occult stuff, and like, you know, I used to wish I was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and like,
I also did.
like, when I was a teenager. And as I gotten older, I've just learned to tune into myself and listen to those like really like so I always feel like if my heart feels really tight, I'm like, okay, something's not right. And once it feels like full of joy, then I know that it's a good thing. So I started to listen to those things more, and it just took a lot of practice to kind of get into that. I've always been kind of the friend that people would just come to and talk to about everything. I still get strangers that'll come up and all of a sudden they'll just share me their life story. I have my one girlfriend, she's like, I don't know what it is about you, but every time I'm with you, I feel like I need to spill everything to you. I'm like, oh well. That's just who I am. And I'll have conversations with people. I'm like, oh, do they look like this, like this? Do they have this feature, this, that? And they're like, they look at me dead in the face, like, what is going on? Like, well, I just can see certain things. I have to really tune into somebody's energy a lot to do it. Sorry, my dog is yipping a little bit.
Very cute.
Yeah, so if I'm tuned into somebody, and so it started with Reiki, it started getting stronger when I got attuned to Reiki, and I would, you know, be physically around somebody. I started seeing different images, and I kind of just like knew things, and that stuff would be real, like parent, like sometimes it would be loved ones or like a situation that hadn't happened, and then I found a few months later like that thing had come true. And so I was kind of like I do every year I do like I pull cards for my best friend and myself, and for each month. I could pull a card for each month. And so far, all my predictions for my best friend have come true for her, and which is really cool. And so like little card readings I'll do, and yeah, just like talking. I try to like work on it sometimes. So I joined this group, and I was talking to this one lady. And I was like, I see you like sitting outside reading a book and like fluffy white clouds. And I asked about dementia because I don't know, dementia was popping up. And then if she was in the military, because I kept hearing freedom fighter. And she's like, I'm sitting outside in my yard right now. Fluffy Clouds is a really important song to me by The Orb. I'm not sure. I don't think she was from where I live, but and she works with dementia patients, and she used to be in the military for 10 years. So I thought that was super cool.
Wow. All on point all around.
I was like, whoa, okay. I like blew my own mind. So I was doing like kind of like coaching and stuff like that. And it just, I just started to realize like it just wasn't clicking. So I didn't feel like I was something that I was meant to do as like on a business level. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of something that I do for myself with my own life, and just kind of like listen to my own inner voice. And, you know, I help my friends, or if I'm talking to somebody and something pops up, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like where that is for me.
Totally. And I mean, that could just be right now that you're in the like exploration, and like you said, learning to trust those skills, and that it's all real and and useful. I know when I started my business, I went through a number of different niches that didn't quite work before everything lined up to be closer to what I'm doing now. I mean, it's still evolved a lot over the last few years, but yeah, not everything is necessarily meant to be our business model, and some things we do as a passion until they want to be shared more massively later on. Yeah. So you never know. You never know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, maybe I'll end up doing that more later. I am trying to take this NLP course and we'll get more into like some life coaching and stuff like that. And even if it's just to help me, I feel like everything that I've done, all the courses I've done have helped me in a major way. And that's just the start of it. So maybe when I get to a certain level for myself, I'll be able to, you know, help reach more people in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. I've had to adapt, pivot, and change my business. Like this whole last year has been like, well, I'm going to do this. Actually, no, I'm going to do this. And just,
you're not the only one there for sure.
I'm just figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, I'm super grateful that we got to share your story with everyone listening. And we're going to, hopefully you'll give me the link once your webpage is ready so people can check out your t-shirts, and we'll put that in the show notes for everyone who's listening. Any last words of wisdom you want to leave people with? You dropped some powerful insights already, but
just to like do what makes you happy, like follow your dreams and don't be afraid to fail, because you can't fail if you don't quit. And if you really want something, just go and get it. Like, I don't know, I just really feel like so empowered. Like, just do it. Like, just go do it. Do the thing that makes you happy, and don't look back, and don't, yeah, just do that.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And we will give everyone the link to check you out. And yeah, hopefully people will go listen to Shine Through the Shadows podcast, because even if you're not making new episodes, it's still up there. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
people can get some inspiration and insight from it. And thank you for holding your sweet, adorable little puppy this whole time. I feel like I'm receiving from that puppy love energy.
Okay.
Thanks for being on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week for another episode of Tactical Magic. Have a good one.